So thank you for having me. What a great turnout tonight. I'm so proud of the Republican Party of Putnam County for turning our county red. So let's give ourselves a hand. You know, some of you may have attended a forum I had last night, and I'll tell you I want to make several comments, and Keith, if I get too long, you cut me off, because you have the upper chamber and you can cut me off if you want to. We had a forum last night. My opponent, I don't typically like to talk about my opponents. I didn't attack him. He was misguided on a lot of his comments. He made a few comments which I won't say were disrespectful to the office, but I think were focused as a single subject candidate. And we've had a single subject candidate in this position before, and it's taken us 8 years to start recovering from that. So when I'm gonna pull his palm card out. When you talk about tearing down the Rodman Reservoir, you infuriate me. You infuriate Larry Harvey. And you infuriate those of us that recognize the economic boom for that area. I can't find his palm card. When you go against a variety of agencies that the state funds to look at water issues, and you're a botanist, and you claim to be a water scientist, you're not a hydrologist, that's a lie. And it reminds me of what I've heard in the last 2 weeks. So I won't talk much more about my candidate, but I will lead in with this comment. Last night, Hillary Clinton calls Kavanaugh's swearing-in ceremony, a political rally. Give me a second to put on my glasses so I can read the rest of this. She said Trump's remarks at a White House event further undermined the image and the integrity of the courts. How hypocritical. For the past 2 weeks, we've seen nothing but undermining of a process of a man with an impeccable record, only for political gain. All for political gain. So when I watch the Democrats on TV, which I don't like to do, but they do have ads that pop up right in the middle of some of the programs I occasionally watch. With Tim Allen, I don't watch too many professional football games anymore either. They've kind of offended me on a few issues as well. But I listen to about 5% of what they say with some level of truth and integrity, and the other 95% is pure lies. And I know you can ask Senator Perry the same thing. I've listened to them lie about him on TV, on commercials, and it infuriates me. He's a colleague of mine that I work with in Tallahassee. I know the character and integrity of the man. You could hear what Mrs. Altman read about Keith Berry and his qualities and his respect for humanity and his position on many things. So I'll kind of get off my high horse. We'll do a little bit more rallying of the sabers here in a little bit. So I just want to say we've had a very successful first 2 years. I've had the opportunity to work with great colleagues like Keith, like Senator Perry, Representative Cummings, and Senator Bradley, and many others. And so our rural community, and Don and Jeff, I agree with you, we need to keep moving our community forward. We need citizens groups that want to come out and be active and want to participate and want to join in and collaborate so we get things done in this community. And that's what we do. That's what Republicans do. We take a higher road than the Democrats. We always do. We may not always agree, but we'll find a way to come collaboration. Rural communities and the values of this district are extremely important to me growing up in Putnam County. We have brought home appropriations dollars, and I worked with Senator Perry on several areas for funding to clean out Dog Branch Creek canals and Deep Creek, funding for East Palatka Fire Station and water expansion. We've stressed the importance in Tallahassee to protect those who represent fiscally constrained counties, as we are, and the need for support of economic growth. We've worked to improve VOTEC and career tech opportunities, vocational education, advanced manufacturing at the high school level, and at the state college level. We managed to appropriate $250,000 for advanced manufacturing for high school level last year. That's just the beginning. That's the key to success for our young folks, where they can go to college. If they go to college and get out with a $100,000 loan and have to go to work working in a low-paying job, they can go to work in both technical education careers, just like Keith and I have, and make a great living, a good income with upward mobility, and not have a $100,000 loan. We've worked with FDOT, John Browning, thank you, for all the things we've done to help improve infrastructure in our area. We've seen expansion of Dunn's Creek, and we'll continue to see those opportunities. Some folks say, well, that gives you an opportunity for people to leave. We see that as an opportunity for prosperity for people to come. We've seen the Shands Bridge is going to be raised. That's going to be vital to us. That'll help us with the maritime industry and growth. We had the monthly READY workshop in Putnam County last month. READY is the Rural Economic Development Initiative. First time it's ever been here. We asked them to come. They brought 17 agencies and listen to what we had. So those type of things with our delegation committee meetings, with our opportunities for low interest funding, for fiscally constrained, I'm gonna get it out. I've got some new braces and it's kind of hard to say sometimes. Fiscally constrained counties is very challenging for us, but those are the right things to do. So I'm proud to represent this area. My wife and I, who couldn't be here tonight, she works out of town because her office moved out of town 6 years ago. She drives to Jacksonville every day to work. And so for her benefit and for the benefit of our families, I would like to see those jobs come back to Palatka. Additionally, we worked with St. Johns River Water Management District, focusing on protecting rivers, lakes, springs, improved drainage. Senator Bradley and I ran a bill a couple years ago that my opponent does not like. In fact, the reason he said he wanted to run was because he didn't like the bill. And the bill takes water when it's above 75% of the flood stage at Black Creek. And we all know how often Black Creek floods. It'll probably flood in the next few days. And it moves that water down to the aquifer recharge area in Keystone. So not only does it recharge the Floridian aquifer, where it's already being overtapped, some of those natural resources are being overtapped, but it reestablishes lake levels in Keystone. It acts as a recharge area, helps economic values, and restores recreational values. My opponent's running because he doesn't like the bill. As a self-imposed scientist, he believes that we're creating a problem. We'll continue to focus on the needs of good, clean drinking water. We'll work on algae bloom. We've seen that throughout Florida this year, but we've seen it for years and years and years. We've seen red tide, which is a naturally occurring algae that's called Corinna brevis. It's been around since 1840. So there's nothing that Governor Scott or anybody in the legislature did this year to exacerbate red tide bloom. Algae bloom in Okeechobee has been around forever. I'm tired of hearing the farmers and ranchers being blamed for that, because we are farmers and ranchers. And in fact, there's a beta test that was done that shows that where the nutrient loading comes from north of the Okeechobee from septic tanks that are leaching into the ground. So that's not talked about too much in the media, because Florida crystals and U.S. sugar are easy to attack. Finally, I'd say we have to, as we heard earlier tonight, look at how we're going to manage and balance the needs of the state. We're going to have growth in our area. It is coming. But the needs of the state are the fact that we have 5 to 6 million more people coming by 2030. You know, almost a 30% increase in population in 12 to 14 years. How do you balance that need? You have to balance that need by looking at where you're going to put land in conservation, where you're going to protect your waterways. How are you going to protect your waterways? How are you going to improve your infrastructure opportunities and so that people can get around? So those are things that are critical to us. So if you think about the fact that a city the size of Tampa is moving to Florida every year and will continue moving to Florida every year, we have to be very fundamentally sound in how we do preparation and prepare for that. I know that Florida is, tourism this year was 120, 130 million people. That's good for Florida. It's the #1 economy for the state. Agriculture is #2. I'll leave you with this last little comment, and then certainly I'll take some questions and be around to talk to you more. And I do have a list of things that we can talk about that the legislature accomplished this year. But last night in my debate, the Democrats were throwing out a lot of questions to us, and the question came out, and I'll paraphrase, it said, how do we stop people from coming to Florida? And I was really inclined to say, we build a wall from Fernandina to Pensacola and make Georgia pay for it, but I didn't. So. I knew that wouldn't go very good with the liberal Democrats. So I'll be around to talk to you more. I appreciate your support. I certainly appreciate Senator Perry being here and the other candidates. Let's continue to move this district in Florida forward. I will tell you that I'm very, very concerned. If you look at some of the polls, and I don't believe all the polls, but I'm very concerned with where we are with the Senate race and the governor's race. And Senator Perry can also elaborate on this, but if we elect Andrew Gillum, don't worry about taking a side road or taking a detour. We've slammed on the brakes and put it on reverse, and we're going in the wrong direction. And it will have lasting effects on our children and our grandchildren for years. So thank you.